Hello, wonderful parents. Dr. Anna Cohen here. Let's talk a little bit about creating meaningful conversations with young people. Parents often ask me about the best ways to communicate with young people, and my response is always about the power of resonant awareness. This involves parents being curious and open and accepting and loving. By engaging with young people with openness and warmth, you'll effectively let them know that you're safe to talk to. When teens are open and chatty, and young people are open and chatty, it's our opportunity to deepen our connection with them. And there are a few key strategies that will enhance this connection. The first is about us being emotionally available. Slow down, listen, and observe without quick judgments or emotional reactions. Focus on understanding what your child or young person is experiencing. We want to listen without interruption. Allow kids and young people to speak without cutting them off. Conversations with young people quickly lose their flow if we interrupt. It's okay to ask questions, just make sure that your young person does most of the talking. We want to validate their feelings, and so in order to do this, we need to kind of know what types of validation responses resonate with your young person, because when we know this, it can be really, really transformative and it will support further conversation. You can try active listening here. For those of you that know my work, know that active listening is so important and such a big part of what I talk about. Active listening is when we're providing focused attention without saying a lot. So instead what we're doing is we're nodding and we're making eye contact and we're making conversational gestures and sounds like It's really important that you activate your curiosity and open-mindedness while you're doing this so that you can be really authentic in your quiet interest. You can also try reflecting, and what that involves is repeating back what you hear your young person saying in your own words. So for example, you might say, I can hear that it was hard for you when, whatever it might be. Another approach is acknowledgement, where you acknowledge that you understand their situation. For instance, you could say something like, I'd feel like that too if it happened to me. Another thing we can do is we can practice attuned body language. So what that means is we want to give our full attention to making very gentle eye contact and showing that you're engaged through small affirmations like nods or sounds. The stuff I talked about before where we're going, We want to relax our posture. We want to stay open and receptive. And this helps us to maintain a non-reactive and very focused presence. Another thing we can do here is to keep our emotions in check. Particularly if you experience an intense reaction and you're triggered by what a child or young person is sharing, they might become uncomfortable and back off from sharing with you. But by acknowledging your young person's feelings and your desire to support them despite the difficult content of their sharing, your young person's emotional experience remains central to the conversation. For example, saying, I'm so glad that you're sharing this with me. Let's take some time to think about this more. Let me know what you need from me now and how I can best support you. Another thing we want to do is be really interested but not intrusive. We want to make sure that we're not coming across as intrusive. So to do this, what we want to do is we want to pay attention to their nonverbal cues. If they seem uncomfortable or defensive, give them some space, but at the same time offer reassurance that you're there for them. We want to avoid making every interaction educational because young people often feel overwhelmed by constant learning and advice. Instead, express confidence in their abilities. You could say to a young person, I bet you'll figure this out exactly in your way, and I bet you'll figure out how to handle that. Or you might ask if they'd like to hear your perspective. And by doing this, we're empowering them to take the lead in their problem-solving process. Sharing is important. We want to actively engage with their stories, showing that you remember details. And this will affirm for them that they're loved and that their thoughts and their feelings are significant. We want to acknowledge their feelings. We want to recognize the emotional content of what they're sharing. Simple acknowledgements like statements that sound like, "That sounds really hard," or "I can see why you felt that way," help to validate their experiences without overwhelming them with advice or dismissing them entirely. We don't want to do that. Another thing that's really important is that we maintain respectful boundaries, and we can do this by avoiding asking their friends for private information because we don't want to damage trust that way. And we need to remember that respecting their privacy encourages them to actually open up to us more willingly. We also want to respect their confidentiality. Young people value their privacy intensely. So sharing their private matters, even within the family, can cause them to retreat emotionally. So we want to always consider whether you would have wanted similar information shared about you during your teenage years. And we want to support their individuation. We want to recognise that teens and young people need to develop their own identities separate from us as their parents. We want to celebrate this growth even when it feels difficult. And by listening with empathy and support, we can do this. So remember, by engaging your young person with openness and warmth, you can transform your interactions into rich, meaningful conversations. For more detailed guidance on how to attune better with your young person, you could head over to the Better Parent Academy and explore my course, my signature course, Small Changes, Big Impact, or pick up a copy of my book, Taming Teens. You've got this. I wish you joy in your